Lamar gave maybe the greatest halftime speech of all time.
I think everyone might be rooting for that Taylor Swift Eminem Super Bowl here for Detroit and KC.
I mean, what do you think the NFL wants? The NFL wants these Chiefs in the Super Bowl.
The night he got drafted, he said, I'm going to give Baltimore a Super Bowl. Now, I think this is his best chance to achieve that goal.
Jared Goff is really not that great on the road, especially when it's not inside a dome.
That's crazy because that's my score.
Is it? Let's bet it.
Welcome to Catching a Vibe. This is episode 34. I'm your host, Drew. Today, I'm joined by the boys once again. We got Andrew Brady, DFS by the numbers, and Chris Pinnell. Fellas, how are we doing today?
Doing great. Glad to be back. We had a really good, week of football last week, game-wise. Better than the wild card round. I'm sure you guys felt the same.
No doubt, no doubt. Andrew?
Yeah, fun week of football. Last week, 4 good games. This week, we have 2 really good games. I'm really looking forward to these 2. It should be a fun weekend.
I'm excited for these games, and at the same time, I'm kind of sad because we only have 2 games this weekend, and football's almost done already. It's crazy how fast the season goes by, but these 2 games should be electric, to be honest. But
oh yeah, I love both matchups. It just sucks. We usually have our weekend spread out Saturday and Sunday. Now it's just 2 on Sunday, but at least it gives us something to look forward to.
Yep, on the Lord's Day.
Oh yeah.
So, let's recap the divisional round. First game was the Ravens versus Texans. This game was close when the fellas got off the bus, and at half it was tied 10-10, and Lamar gave maybe the greatest halftime speech of all time. We all know what he said exactly, but he got the boys to rally up. 34-10 final. That Texans plus 9.5 was looking good at half. Then Lamar and the fellas just got the train rolling. What do you guys have to say about this game?
Yeah, I mean, that's what Baltimore can do. They can grind you as the game goes on because they are not afraid to run the ball, and run the ball. And the thing is, with Lamar Jackson, he's so dynamic. Even if they are dropping back to pass, I mean, he can just scramble. He had over 100 rushing yards in the game last week, 2 rushing touchdowns. So if Lamar's on his game, it's just hard to stop him, especially if they can get the run going.
No doubt, no doubt. Andrew?
Yeah, I mean, it's Lamar Jackson's world, and we're all living in it. I mean, that guy, he's playing incredible. He's throwing the ball well. He ran the ball extremely well against the Texans. And, yeah, it was close until it wasn't. Ended up being a blowout 34-10. And, yeah, the Ravens are definitely a team to look out for. You said it from the beginning. This team is really good and has a good chance to win the Super Bowl.
And the Texans, super young team, they just had too many penalties, dude. I was watching a game. I was like, where was this against the Browns? They had, probably 8 false starts. It was just insane to watch, the difference between 1 week. They were at home against the Browns, and they were at Baltimore. It's loud in that stadium. It was just crazy to see. Texans fans, you should be excited for the future, though. I don't know.
I mean, keep in mind, they were also without Tank Dell, so once he's healthy again and that offense is at full strength, they'll probably upgrade the running game in some way next season to get some of the pressure off of C.J. Stroud. So they definitely have something to look forward to. Just got to fix the defense up as well, but they definitely have the talent.
Yeah,
fixing up that defense is going to be big. And then, like Chris said, Tank Dell. I'm really looking forward to some Tank Dell next year. I'm going to try to draft him next year in the draft.
Right.
We'll see.
All right, so the next game we have the 49ers against the Packers. A lot of people were like, 49ers are going to mop the floor with them. They were stressing this game.
Yeah.
24-21. It was 7-6 at half. Then CMC took over this game. Chris, what you got?
Yeah, it was definitely giving me a sweat because I mentioned I have a bunch of best ball teams. I don't know if people know about that, but it's basically fantasy football in a playoff format. So I was starting to sweat that out because I'm very heavy on the 49ers and pretty heavy on the Chiefs. And I was like, well, we might get the 49ers knocked out by Jordan Love. Definitely not something I was expecting. I know Andrew kind of jumped on that Jordan Love train early, so I thought he was about to take another victory lap for that this week, even though he had the Niners. But yeah, Jordan Love looks like the real deal. But I'm glad the Niners hanged on. And Deebo Samuel, when he is out, Brock Purdy is definitely not the same quarterback. So that's going to be a big question mark heading into this week versus Detroit.
Yeah, I almost picked the Packers outright, decided not to. The Packers like almost won the game. Like they were right there,
They were.
couldn't pull it off. But man, Jordan Love going forward, I think, Jordan Love of these Packers, there's something to look out for. I mean, they were right there. Like they could be playing right now. But yeah, the 49ers are good. Debo, that's gonna be something to mention for this show. Like Debo, if Debo's out, 49ers offense, they look completely different without Debo. So I think Debo, whether or not he plays, is going to be a big factor going forward for them.
I did see today they were saying it's 50-50 that Debo's going to play, but just knowing Debo, how bad he wants it, I think he's going to play no matter how much it hurts. I mean, he's not going to sit out the NFC Championship game.
I did see a report where I think it might have been the same one where they did say he was 50-50, but if he does play, he's certainly not going to be at full strength. So maybe like some special packages for him when he's on the field, but it's definitely going to hurt them overall.
Just to get someone else, get Ayuk more involved.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
he'll be out there on the field with some crutches, just running routes.
Right, but Jordan Love, dude, I'm really excited because he looked really good in his first year starting. What's up with these Packers? Like, what's their secret sauce at drafting quarterbacks? It's unreal.
They got a couple secret sauces. So obviously they've nailed the quarterbacks the past 2 decades, but I mean, they just took a bunch of flyers on wide receivers the past couple of drafts, and they've hit on all of them. Like, no, they're not big names like a Deebo Samuel at this point or Justin Jefferson, but Jaden Reed, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, even Wicks, and a couple other guys out there. They're pretty good in both tight ends, so they've been just nailing the drafts.
So next game was the Lions versus Bucks. This was a great game. Yeah. Me and Chris, we picked the Lions to win. Andrew picked the Bucks. I'm going to start with Andrew first for this one. Andrew, how you feel after Baker sold the bag and threw a pick on the last drive?
It was frustrating because the Bucks could have won it. I mean, just like the Packers, it was right there for them all game, a very close game all game. I don't think a lot of people are expecting it to be that competitive all game, but it was. And then it's just, first of all, their defense is not great. Second of all, they had like 50 injured players. That didn't help with their defense. And then third of all, just mistakes down the stretch. So it was right there in the grasp, the win. But, the injuries, I think, were a big factor. The defense just looked terrible towards the end of the game. And, Lions ended up pulling it off and winning by 8. So they covered the spread, but did not get the win.
They did. Chris?
Yeah, pretty much what Andrew said. But that was a fun game to watch. The Bucs defense, though, I mean, Baker did everything he could. He just can't play defense, unfortunately. They had that dropped interception that was right to the guy in the end zone. You guys got that? I think it was Dean, if I remember correctly. But, Baker balled out. That was nice to see. Mike Evans, monster game, had a couple of great catches. It's just, unfortunately for Baker, he had the turnover at the end, so people are going to point the blame towards him. But I think he did as well as he possibly could have, and I think there should be a lot to be happy about for that offense, but the defense, that's definitely the concern.
Yeah, and I've been hearing the Bucs front office is thrilled about how this season went. Nobody expected the Bucs to do anything this year with Baker. A quarterback making $4 million a year is insane. That's just backup money, and he had a great year. He had 28 passing touchdowns, 4,000 passing yards. Baker, I hope he gets re-signed with the Bucs. And what's Mike Evans? Is he going to come back? Is he going to go somewhere else?
That's the big question mark. Is if they lose Mike Evans, you have Chris Godwin, but he's not like a ex-receiver that can out-jump guys like Mike Evans can. No. So, I mean, if Mike Evans leaves, that's probably going to hurt Baker's numbers. So I'm sure he's really hoping for the best for that situation.
Yeah. Chris Godwin is a really good number 2 receiver. He's not a number 1 right now,
Yeah. For sure. Andrew, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I thought Evans was like 33. He's only 30, so I thought
it seems like he's been playing forever.
He's been playing forever.
Yeah. He must have gotten the league at like 20 or something.
Yeah, right. He's been playing forever.
I remember he was just catching jump balls from Johnny Manziel at Texas A&M.
Money Manziel, baby, to go. But yeah, so great game. Next game, it lived up to the hype. We have the Chiefs versus Bills. Not to toot my horn, but I did predict the score. What other show's doing that? By catching a vibe? There's no other show that's doing that right now. I mean, just Josh Allen was playing awesome. Mahomes, typical Mahomes. Chris, start us off.
It's pretty much everything you could have asked for. Both quarterbacks played up to their potential. We saw Josh Allen, incredible game from him. Maybe a couple questionable moves at the very end of the game, but I'm not going to fault him for trying to go for the home run there at the end. But Mahomes, he did what he did. Travis Kelce, signature performance from him with Taylor Swift in the stands. And also Jason Kelce in the stands.
Jason is so goated, bro. He is hilarious.
Yeah, I guess his wife told him to be on his best behavior because it was the first time meeting Taylor Swift, and obviously that didn't go very well. But great game, missed kick at the end, kind of robbed us from a potential overtime. Could have been an all-time game, but either way, I was excited and pleased with what I saw.
Right.
Yeah, I mean the Bills. I don't know. We all picked the Chiefs to win. We all thought it was going to be close and a good game, and it was. But Bass did miss that field goal towards the end. But with that said, it's a bad look. But I mean, there was 2 minutes left. I think if Bass would have made the field goal, the Mahomes 2 minutes, that's way too long. I think they would have won anyway. But good game. Chiefs looked good. Josh Allen looked really good. And this Chiefs team is going to be hard to beat. I mean, what do you think the NFL wants? The NFL wants these Chiefs in the Super Bowl. You got Taylor Swift.
They want the Swift
that's what they want. And hey, they might get it. One more game, we'll see.
Yeah. So real quick, back to the Jason Kelce. So, like you said, Chris, Kylie, his wife, was like, Jason, don't do anything stupid for the first time meeting Taylor Swift. And he goes, Kylie, our first date, I was blacked out drunk. This is just the steps of meeting the Kelceys. So Jason just is so funny. But
yeah, it was fun to watch.
Yeah, but that game was so great, dude.
Oh, yeah.
To be honest.
I mean, those Bills-Chiefs games always seem to live up to the hype. So hopefully we keep getting them.
Here's one question I have is, was that the last Stephon Diggs game as a Bill?
I was thinking that at the end. I just saw a tweet not too long ago that said it's a rumor. So, I mean, I'm not sure how reliable the source is, but it says he's happy there and is not going to ask for a trade, but obviously that can change. He should have made that big catch. I don't know if you guys saw that Allen throw. That was probably one of the best throws I've ever seen in my life. Just straight up dropped it. I mean, it was a tougher catch, but you expect the number one wide receiver to get that. So I don't know what they're going to do. I think Khalil Shakur is a very viable option in that offense. The tight ends are great, so I'm not sure they really need Stephon Diggs, but I mean, I wouldn't hate him in Cleveland either.
Diggs to Cleveland.
I don't know if we have the money for that. It'd be nice.
Definitely not with Deshaun.
No.
Contract. Andrew, do you have anything to say?
I'm actually surprised that Diggs said that because it seems like the whole year there's been Diggs drama. So yeah, I think he's probably lying, and I think this might actually be the last we do see of Diggs.
Yeah, I agree. So now the championship round, the first game, Chiefs versus Ravens. The line is at 3.5. Over under is at 44.5. Chris, start us off.
Yeah, so this is definitely going to be a tough game. From my fandom standpoint, I obviously don't like the Ravens. I'm a big Patrick Mahomes fan, so I'm rooting for the Chiefs here. That doesn't necessarily mean that I think they're going to win. It's going to be tough heading over into Baltimore. Although there were some question marks about Patrick Mahomes going on the road for his first playoff game. He's got the win, so I don't really think that should be a question anymore if he can play on the road in the playoffs. I do think when it comes down to it, I would trust Mahomes over any other quarterback, including Lamar Jackson. But I think the Ravens have the better overall roster, so I'm going to pick them to win, but I am fully rooting for the Chiefs here. I do think this can come down to a 3-point game. The spread's at 3.5, so I do think they could cover.
Gotcha.
And as far as fantasy goes, because I know we wanted to talk about that more this week, I personally like the second game better. The total for this one is 44.5. Next game is 51, so I think there's going to be more points scored in that one. So for me, if I'm picking anybody in this game, Travis Kelce is obviously going to be someone to consider. Mark Andrews is potentially returning for this game, but a lot of my fantasy guys I have mentioned are going to be in the next game.
Gotcha. Andrew?
Yeah, it's a really tough game to call here. I mean, it looks like the Chiefs are, during the season, there are some games where it's like, the Chiefs, maybe they don't have it anymore, but in these playoffs, they're playing really good. I talked about it last week. This defense has been really good all year, but it's just hard to pick against Lamar Jackson right now. Before the playoffs even started, I think that, I thought the Ravens would be in the Super Bowl, and then the 49ers would be in the Super Bowl. So I'm gonna stick with that. I'm gonna go with the Ravens. I feel like it's just gonna be so hard to stop Lamar Jackson because he can hurt you with his legs, like we saw in his last game where he rushed for 100 yards, and then he can hurt you with his arm as well. So although I think the Chiefs defense is very good, very underrated, we saw Josh Allen go out there and get 70, 80 rushing yards, 2 touchdowns.
Right.
I mean, if Josh Allen's doing that, incredible runner, but what the heck's Lamar Jackson going to do?
Yeah.
So I think Lamar's going to run all over him. I think it's going to be a super tough game. I think it's going to come down to the wire, like the Bills game. But I am going to go with the Ravens. It's hard to see the Ravens losing, but if somebody's going to beat them, it's Patrick Mahomes and these Chiefs.
Right.
We'll see.
So for me, it's 2 great quarterbacks. It's 2 great coaches, 2 good defenses. Mahomes is by far the best quarterback in the league. But this Ravens team, dude, it just seems like they're on a mission. Lamar, the night he got drafted, he said, I'm going to give Baltimore a Super Bowl. And I think this is his best chance to achieve that goal. I think he's going to do it this year. That 44 and a half, I kind of think they'll go over, Andrew, you were talking about how Josh Allen had over 60 yards rushing. I think Lamar could get that too, and a rushing touchdown here, or maybe 2. I think this is going to be a little high-scoring game than what people are expecting. So, score prediction. What we got?
I think both defenses are good enough to where there's not going to be a ton of points being scored. The over-under is a little bit lower. Like I said, I think that next game has a chance to pop off quite a bit with the Lions defense struggling. So I'm going to take the Ravens, unfortunately, 20-17, but I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'm going to say 27-24 Ravens.
27-24. Can I do it again? I'm just kidding. I'm going, if this Chiefs defense hasn't allowed 30 points all year long, I think this is the first time. I'm going Ravens 31-27. I just know Mahomes is going to give his very best to win this game, but the Ravens get it done. I also saw on TikTok that there's a Josh Allen curse. So the teams that beat Josh Allen in the playoffs, they lose the next game.
Really?
Since 2019.
Josh Allen curse.
The Josh Allen curse. So let's see if it lives on another year. So next game, we have the 49ers versus the Lions. The line is set at 7. Over-under is 51. I feel like America's team right now is the Lions. Chris, do we think that we can, or they can get it done? What do you think?
As much as a feel-good story would be, I think everyone might be rooting for that Taylor Swift Eminem Super Bowl here for Detroit and KC.
Right.
Be cool to see, but I think the Niners are too good of a team. Even if Deebo Samuel happens to be out, their roster is just so loaded with CMC, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. As far as a nice value play in fantasy this week, if Deebo Samuel happens to be out, look at Jennings here because he is going to get an uptick in usage. He is very cheap, whether you play on DraftKings, FanDuel, whatever it may be. With him going out last week, Deebo early on, he played 63% of the snaps, had a 70% route participation, and he had 6 targets in that game, 5 catches for 61 yards. So if you were someone out there that is playing fantasy, I do like Jennings as a nice value play, as Detroit's secondary has been getting absolutely burnt in recent weeks, especially through the first 2 weeks of the playoff. We saw Puka Nacua, nearly 200 yards versus them. Mike Evans, nearly 200 yards. Both quarterbacks over 300 yards. So for me, I'm liking to stack up the 49ers offense. Their run defense has been very good, allowed the fewest points per game to the running back position this year, which I'm not saying to not play CMC, but for me, 11 the 49ers passing offense here is I think they should roll on.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I do want to see if Deebo play. If Deebo doesn't play, I do think it's going to affect their offense, obviously, but not to a point where I don't think they're going to have success. They have Ayuk, they have Kittle, who when Deebo is out, Kittle does step up. We saw that last week, so I'm not entirely worried, but obviously you do want Deebo on the field. And then, of course, Christian McCaffrey. Chris mentioned it. Detroit is very good against the running backs, but I think Christian McCaffrey, is going to do a lot of work in the passing game here. Should be fine. I don't know. I think it could be competitive, especially if Debo doesn't play and this Lions offense looks really good. I just think it's going to come down to defense. The 49ers have a good defense. The Lions defense, I don't think they're that great. And I think, Purdy should be able to go out there and get it done. So, yeah, I said it from the beginning. I thought it was Ravens, 49ers in the Super Bowl. Obviously, we have the color scheme, right? I think that's a good narrative. So I'm sticking to it. I'm going 49ers here, but I do want to see if Debo plays or not.
Right. So I'm same boat as you guys. I think the Niners have a better team. I'm rooting for the Lions to make it past them, but I just, Debo does scare me. Like, if Debo doesn't play, that's going to take a hit. Chris, maybe Jennings has a big day. And a lot of people can thank you for that insight.
I do want to mention something. Jared Goff is really not that great on the road, especially when it's not inside a dome. I'm looking at some of the home and away splits this year. It's only a 1-game difference. He has 9 games away, 8 games at home. At home, 70% completion percentage, 64% on the road. He also has 11 touchdowns compared to 19, and then it's just the numbers overall are down. So, especially on the road too. So, that's just another factor that I think, even if Debo happens to be out, Jared Goff seems to be a home field merchant, so that's something to keep in mind as well. And the passer rating's at 108 compared to 89 as well, so it's a pretty big drop-off.
It is, and that's another reason why I think the 49ers should win. The Lions are not that good away.
Right.
So, score prediction.
I do think this is going to be pretty high scoring. So I'm going to have to take the 49ers. I believe they have an implied team total of 29-30 this week. I think they can get to 33. I'll call it 24-33, and I'll be taking the Niners.
Gotcha.
Do me 28-21 49ers.
That's crazy because that's my score.
Is it? Let's bet it. Let's do the exact bet right there.
I'll put $1 on it.
Let's do it.
Yeah, so 28-21 Niners. It should be a really good game. If it was at home for the Lions, would you guys bet the Lions to win?
If Debo was out, maybe. If Debo plays, still no, I'd say.
I still don't think I could do it. I know Brock Purdy's not a game-changing quarterback, but their defense just gets shredded every week. And I think Kyle Shanahan can get enough schemes to where they can find success either way.
Gotcha. So that's for the championship round. Now we're going to do a parlay. Me and Andrew are going to give a parlay out. Feel free to play it with us. If you want some money, maybe slide it under the table for me and Andrew. Chris is not a betting man, so he can just give some feedback on if he likes our picks or not. Right. So, Andrew, do you want to start us off with your parlay?
Yeah, I cooked something up. I dug deep, and I think I found something I like. The first leg, it's going to be Lamar Jackson over 59.5 rushing yards. Like I said, we saw what Josh Allen did to this team last week. I think Lamar Jackson goes out there, maybe gets 100. The next line is going to be Travis Kelce. My baby's crying. Travis Kelce to score. I think Travis Kelce's getting in the end zone. He's been on fire in these playoffs. The next leg, and I like this one a lot, Christian McCaffrey over 37.5 receiving yards. The line's really good with the run, especially if Debo doesn't play. I think they're going to toss it to McCaffrey a couple times. The next one is going to be Sam Laporta over 39.5 receiving yards. Laporta's been looking good. I think he eats. And then finally, just a Christian McCaffrey anytime touchdown. He scores all the time. That comes out to plus 1,300, 25 to win 350.
Interesting. We have some pretty similar picks here, Andrew. So my first leg, I have Lamar, anytime touchdown. Josh Allen scored twice last week. I think Lamar can definitely score. My second leg is Lamar Jackson over 59 rushing yards. His average is 90 yards in playoffs. That's insane to me as a quarterback.
It makes sense because, he's going to put the game in his hands because he's a superstar.
Right. And I did see it's supposed to rain. So he might carry the rock a little bit more than usual. Then my next one, I did alternate line. I did Mahomes over 200 yards passing. I know it's like minus 2,000 or whatever it is. It's a safe bet, okay? And then my fourth leg is Travis Kelce over 40 yards Playoff Kelsey is back. You'll thank me later for that one. Next, I have CMC Anytime Tutty. He's a touchdown machine. Just feel free to bet CMC to score a touchdown. And my last leg is Jahmyr Gibbs, over 25 yards receiving. He had 8 catches last week. So if he at least gets 4 catches, I think he could easily get 25 yards receiving. And that totals up to 740.
Gibbs is so good.
Oh, dude. He reminds me of a young AK.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah. It's unreal how similar they are.
He might even be better. I mean, that dude is just. I just hate every single time I see Dave Montgomery carry. I get mad because I'm like, this should be Jahmyr Gibbs.
Yeah, dude, you should have seen me game 1 against the Chiefs. Because I drafted Jahmyr Gibbs, and just seeing Montgomery getting all the snaps,
Right.
it just hurt my soul to watch.
Right. And when Monty got hurt, though, and they were giving Gibbs 20-plus touches, dude was an absolute machine. So if we could just get Monty out of the picture, I mean, he right behind CMC, he could be number 2.
Yeah, I thought he would have a similar role to Jamal Williams last year, that goal line back for the Lions. But he was the running back 1 and Jahmyr's number 2. So maybe that will switch next year. I don't know.
I mean, I guess Dan Campbell doesn't care about our fantasy teams because it's working for them. So I guess screw us, probably.
No doubt. So, Chris, do you like the parlays the boys cooked up? Do you approve? Do you like certain legs?
I like the reasoning. Obviously, it's a bit of a lotto, but hey, it happens. I remember around Christmas, Andrew was hitting almost like $2,000 every day. It seemed like it was like the hottest stretch
crazy
I've ever seen.
Yeah, that's hilarious. I did. Go ahead, Andrew.
I was gonna say let's hit it. And by the way, side note, I feel like Noah Gray. I have a feeling like Noah Gray scores. It's like plus 800. Just a feeling.
Just a feeling.
It always seems like these kind of games, you get that random tight end that scores, and all the people that bet Travis Kelce are mad.
Right. So that wraps up this episode of Catching on 5. Thank you, fellas, for coming back on. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead, give it a like, subscribe to the boy. We're making moves out here. We'll see you next time. Peace.
See you.